Andy Warhol was born on August 6, 1928, and he passed away February 22, 1987. He was an American artist, film director, and producer who was a leading figure in the visual art movement known as pop art. His works explore the relationship between artistic expression, advertising, and celebrity culture that flourished by the 1960s and span a variety of media, including painting, silk screening, photography, film, and sculpture. Some of his best-known works include the silk screen paintings of Campbell's soup cans in 1962 and Maryland in 1962, the experimental films Empire, 1964, and Chelsea Girls, 1966. Warhol initially pursued a successful career as a commercial illustrator. After exhibiting his work in several galleries in the late 1950s, he began to receive recognition as an influential and controversial artist. His New York studio, The Factory, became a well-known gathering place that brought together distinguished intellectuals, playwrights, bohemian street people, Hollywood celebrities. He promoted a collection of personalities known as Warhol Superstars and is credited with inspiring the widely used expression 15 minutes of fame. In the late 1960s, he managed and produced the experimental rock band The Velvet Underground and founded Interview magazine. He authored numerous books, including The Philosophy of Andy Warhol and Popism. The Warhol 60s, he lived openly as a gay man before the gay liberation movement. In June 1968, he was almost killed by radical feminist Valerie Solanas. Warhol's early career was dedicated to commercial and advertising art, where his first commission had been to draw shoes for Glamour magazine in the late 1940s. In the 1950s, Warhol worked as a designer for shoe manufacturer Israel Miller. While working in the shoe industry, Warhol developed his blotted line technique, applying ink to paper and then blotting the ink while still wet. His use of tracing paper and ink allowed him to repeat the basic image and also to create endless variations on the theme. He somehow gave each shoe a temperament of its own. Warhol's whimsical ink drawings of shoe advertisements figured in some of his earliest showings at the Bodley Gallery in New York in 1957. Alright guys, so the subject matter of my painting is the image of Christ from Paul Rubens. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and sketch it on my square canvas that I have. Okay, so and also the colors that we need are cad yellow, okay, burnt sienna right there, cadmium red, cerulean blue, and titanium white, and household black paint. Okay, so and also I have some brushes here that that I will be using. So I'm taking Jackson Pollock and Andy Warhol, okay, and I'm just combining it together. Okay, all right. So now I'm taking the pencil here, as you can see, and just outline this image. Now I can always go back and refine it, right? So if I wanted to add more here or down there, I can go ahead and do that. All right. So now that I'm done with that, what I'd like to do is I would like to paint the inside, okay? And as you can see, I went ahead and mixed cad yellow, burnt sienna, cad red, and also I went ahead and added titanium white to this. Okay, so I am now going to take that and just paint inside of it, just like that, real quick. Okay, all right, that. All right, so real quick. So now, because I am actually mixing two styles together, I'm not going to paint all the way to the edge because that's going to be splatter, right? So take that. All right, now okay, so here we go. Step down. So now let's actually work on the background, okay? So what I am going to do now is take this, okay, like so, and start the splatter process, okay? So, but before the splatter process, I do need to paint the background with a solid color, okay? So that is what we're going to do next, all right? All right, so now I am going to take the blue and just block that up. That's going to be solid, right? All right, now. All right, so you want to make sure that you're not painting into the image, right? All right, here. And there. Okay. And it's a really good idea to have your space situated like the way I am, because I know you could easily put this on the canvas, I mean on the easel, sorry, but because you're going to splatter around this image, right? So what we're going to do is just get it ready ahead of time. Right there. All right. Okay, now take this and just work this in. Okay. Okay, so this was Andy Warhol, okay? So now, before I go back and work on the image, right, what I want to do is I want to start the splattering. Well guys, as you can see, I am done with Jackson Pollock effect on this canvas, so I am ready to start on Andy Warhol. Okay, so let's start. Well guys, so if you notice, I'm just taking the cadmium yellow and just blocking it in, and I'm working on the highlights. And if you were to just look over to the left side of the screen, you'll actually see the example and my inspiration painting that I'm using from Andy Warhol. So I am just being very direct. The colors are very bright. I noticed that he is using just bright pigment at this stage. Now, I think if I could just say that the difference between mine and what he's doing would be that he's using acrylic paint, and most probably, and I'm just using oils at this stage. And if you look at the painting that he did of Marilyn Monroe, you know, the eyes, top of the eyelids are blue, and the blue that I am using is cobalt blue with a little bit of yellow and a lot of white. Okay, so switching over to a small brush and using cadmium red with alizarin red, I just want to apply that color on the mouth. Okay, so if you notice, I'm working on the mouth still. Now I'm trying to create some highlights, doing a lot of wet onto wet. And with my black, I start outlining the main shapes like the eyebrow, and just blocking that in. It's mostly sketching with a brush. I'm noticing that that's kind of like what he's doing, is sketching with a brush. And again, so if you look at the left side of the screen, the example painting that I have from Paul Rubens of Christ is so different than what's happening here with mine, isn't it? So it's just a very different approach. Okay, so I'm going to just have you watch a few minutes and I'll paint, and let's see where we go with this. So most probably he would use a lot of the black color, creating contrast between his colors, just to make things pop a little bit more. So I'm using the black and applying it here on the mustache and underneath the hair, creating some outlines on top of the hair right there, and also just roughen the black for all the dark tones. And as you go along and paint, if you can, like what I'm doing here, is start always correcting the drawing. So if you see anything wrong with your drawing, you know, it's really easy to adjust it and correct it. So actually, I'm starting to get the hang of this, and it's a very different approach, but it's really fun, to be honest with you. I could use a lot of his techniques in my projects, but I don't know if I would necessarily paint like him. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this so that I get a understanding of how he might have painted, and there's anything I could use as far as his technique, I would go ahead and use that in my paintings. Okay. So back to the yellow, and as far as color mixing, you know, there's really not that much here, is there? So the only thing that you would need to do at this stage is constantly focus on your drawing, not to lose your drawing. Always try to improve your drawing by applying your darks and your lights, seeing them as shapes, right? So if you notice, the side of the face where I'm working on is all dark right here, and by applying that tone, I created depth when it comes to his head and his face. Okay. So just as a reminder, the reason why I went with my lighter colors and not black is because sometimes you can overly exaggerate the dark color, and it'll be hard for you to come back and you know, take it away. So that's why I went with my lights. It was much safer to paint this way. Now, the color that I'm introducing here is cadmium orange. I wanted to keep things really bright. I was debating whether I should change the color of his face or leave it alone. I decided to change it. I wanted to go a little bit brighter, and at this stage I don't really care too much because I'm still learning, and maybe if I were to do this again, my next painting I would probably not brighten up the color, but let's see what happens. So I realized something that that I had not done is I should have actually gone with my orange first and then applied the black. That would have been a little bit better. Things would not become muddy, as I realized on the face. So there's the arm, there's the body. I don't want to put too many changes. I'm keeping things very flat. So this is supposed to be pop art. I could really get used to this. It's a very fun way of painting. Very quick. I mean, if you get the hang of it, you could do so many paintings in one day. It's just a very fast and quick approach. So I decided to warm up the orange a little bit with cadmium red, but I don't know if I really like it. I might come back and get rid of that later by just wiping it away with paper towel. What Andy Warhol did in some of his paintings was that he came back and outlined a lot of the main shapes, and that's to bring your attention, the viewer's attention, to specific details. Like I'm sketching, there's the nose right there. I'm emphasizing on the nose. I want to bring your attention to that nose, and right there is the side of his face. And along with the hair, the dark tone over there would separate the nose from the hair, so that's why I did it. And at this stage, I'm just adding those marks on his chest, but I don't think I would like it that strong, so I'll come back later and just soften it. So like right now, let's just do that right now. Here, just soften that out. Sometimes you could visualize of things that you want, but then when you apply it on the canvas, it doesn't look right, does it? Okay, so still at that point where I want to just outline. There, create that curve. Good. I'll emphasize on the dark tone and readjusting my eyebrows. Okay. So this is pretty cool. I am having a lot of fun, and I think I'm almost done here. Well guys, that's pretty much it with this project with Jackson Pollock and Andy Warhol. So really fun way of painting, and especially with Jackson Pollock in the background. So I had a lot of fun. I hope you really enjoyed this episode, and until next time, happy painting. Bye.